Hi there. It's Tuesday, August 13th, and time for Proverbs 13. Let's jump over there. Now, these are a bunch of comparisons, good and the bad, the good and the bad, the good and the bad. So let's compare the good and the bad, all right? A wise son hears his father's instruction, but a scoffer does not listen to rebuke. All right, that's true. Your kids listen to you? Yeah, sometimes, right? From the fruit of his mouth, a good man eats good, but the desire of the treacherous is for violence. Right. Pretty much, huh? Here's a good one. He who guards his mouth preserves his life. He who opens wide his lips comes to ruin. There you go. Keep your mouth shut, right? 90% of the time, the best thing you can do is just to stay quiet. All right. The soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, while the soul of the diligent is richly supplied. Right? The lazy and the diligent. Two different people, huh? Verse 5, a righteous man hates falsehood, but a wicked man acts shamefully and disgracefully. Right? Do you hate falsehood? I hate falsehood. Right? 6, righteousness guards him whose way is upright, but sin overthrows the wicked. Mm-hmm. There's a good one. One man, and we talked about this yesterday, he's repeating himself. One man pretends to be rich, yet has nothing. Another pretends to be poor, yet has great wealth. Okay? Now, you know these kind of people. Some people are living a facade. I mean, they are in debt up to their ears because they want to be seen in a nice car and using a nice phone and wearing nice clothes. And they really have nothing. It's all debt. And another person pretends to be poor yet has great wealth. And I have known people like this, okay? I have known people that drive old cars and they wear old clothes, torn, repair, and have holes in them. But they're secretly millionaires and you'd never know it by looking at them. There's a lot of them out there. You'd be surprised. Is one better than the other? No. People who pretend to be poor and have great wealth, they don't want to share with the poor. They don't want to help other people out. And they don't want anybody else to know that they're able to help anybody else. Yeah. So, the ransom of a man's life is his wealth, but a poor man has no means of redemption. This does not hear rebuke. If you're wealthy, somebody's going to be after you. Right? If you're poor, you have no redemption, but people pretty much leave you alone. All right? 9, the light of the light of the righteous rejoices, but the lamp of the wicked will be put out. Get that? God doesn't like wicked people. 10, by insolence the heedless make strife. Wow. But with those who take advice is wisdom. Now, what does that say over here? 10. That's just weird. Man. Pride leads to arguments. Those who take advice are wise. Pride only breeds quarrels. With pride comes nothing but strife. So this is pride, insolence. Why are they? Insolence. That's pride. Pride leads to trouble. Okay. But with those who take advice is wisdom. Mm-hmm. Those who take advice are wise. Wisdom is found in those who take advice. Right. Wisdom. Always learning. All right. 11, wealth hastily gotten will dwindle, but he who gathers little by little will increase it. That's a good one too. How many people, you probably know at least one person in your life that got a large inheritance or won the lottery? You get money like that and it never lasts. 98 or 99% of people that win large amounts of money in the lottery are usually within a year, they have less money than when they started with, and now they're in debt worse than they ever were, and they end up in bankruptcy. Okay, 99% of the time. Right? But he who gathers little by little will increase it, a little at a time. It's just a truth right there. Not advice, it's just the truth. Gather little by little. 12. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a desire fulfilled is a tree of life. Right. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. I have 4 versions over here. I have the King James, New King James, NIV, and New Living Translation. And every one of them says that exact same thing, word for word. Even the King James. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a desire fulfilled is a tree of life. A longing, dreams. Yeah, let's say when dreams come true. It's a tree of life. Interesting, huh? 13. He who despises the word brings destruction on himself, but he who respects the commandment will be rewarded. Now, there are people that do just that. They despise the word. They despise the Bible. They despise knowledge. Right? They bring destruction on themselves. Okay? God's not sending you to hell. You're choosing to go there yourself. Okay? The teaching of the wise is a fountain of life, that one may avoid the snares of death. Right? Listen to wise people. Okay? Good sense wins favor, but the way of the faithless is their ruin. Right? Good sense. You have good sense. You have good sense by obtaining wisdom. Okay? 16. In everything a prudent man acts with knowledge, but a fool flaunts his folly or foolishness. Right? You seen a fool flaunting their foolishness? Some people do it for fun, and it's great comedy to watch them do that. In everything, a prudent man acts with knowledge. Do your research, right? 17. A bad messenger plunges men into trouble, but a faithful envoy brings healing. Right? Now, they used messengers back then. They didn't have internet or mail or anything. And if you send an idiot that would turn all your words around, and that's going to bring trouble. 18. Poverty and disgrace come to him who ignores instruction, but he who heeds reproof is honored. Right? Poverty and disgrace come to him who ignores instruction. Some people do. They just want to read the instructions. No, I don't need those. Okay. 19. A desire fulfilled is sweet to the soul, but to turn away from evil is an abomination to fools. Right? They love evil. The fools love evil, and they will run towards it. Right? And a desire fulfilled is sweet to the soul. He who walks with wise men becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. You want to be wise? Hang out with wise people, okay? If you want to learn something specific, if you want to learn how to bake, hang out with bakers. They'll teach you. A wise person is always willing to impart his wisdom on you, always, if you just ask him, okay? So, Whatever it is you want to learn, find people that are doing that and learn from them. Hmm? But the companion of fools will suffer harm. Right? You hang out with those kind of people, or you're going to get in trouble. Okay? 21. Misfortune pursues sinners, but prosperity rewards the righteous. Prosperity rewards the righteous. Misfortune pursues a sinner. Straightforward, huh? 22. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. Now, this verse has been turned around lots of times, meaning that you're not a good man if you don't leave money to your grandchildren. Okay? Nowhere did Solomon talk about going after money. He said money is a byproduct of wisdom. Okay? He always says that. Money is a byproduct of wisdom. It comes with wisdom. So if you seek only wisdom, that stuff will come. Okay? It'll just come. What should you leave your grandchildren? Wisdom. Teach them about Jesus. Teach them about Solomon. Teach them how to be wise. That's an inheritance you leave to your children's children. Right? The sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. Right? It says other words, Solomon, that evil people who get tons and tons of money, or loan sharks who take money, says it will sooner or later wind up in the hands of good people. Okay? It says it again right here. The sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. Right? It will always find its way to the good. 23. The fallow ground of the poor yields much food, but it is swept away through injustice. All right. And people take advantage of poor people. Those are the worst kind. God specifically finds that an abomination if you take advantage of poor people. Right? If you go to some of these poor neighborhoods, there's always one poor person who's big and strong and who oppresses the other poor people for what little they have. Right? Swept away through injustice. Okay, here's a good one. 24. He who spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him. Right. You need to discipline your kids. That includes spanking them. They have to have a fear in them to learn. Okay? We talk about that a lot. 25. The righteous has enough to satisfy his appetite, but the belly of the wicked suffers want. Right? You feel like you have enough? Okay? If you're righteous, you have enough. Okay? So, there you go. What do we highlight in here today? We highlighted 3. He who guards his mouth preserves his life. He who opens wide his lips comes to ruin. That keep your mouth shut. That we highlighted 7. One man pretends to be rich yet has nothing. Another pretends to be poor yet has great wealth. Yeah. And you won't know that poor person. You might see him, man, I haven't seen one of those cars in years. Okay. And chances are you see a man, an older guy, not wearing fancy clothes. He might be wearing a flannel shirt and a pair of jeans, driving an old Ford Taurus. Okay, it's a car you haven't seen it. Chances are that man has a lot more money than you know about, but he won't share it with you. Okay, he won't even share it with himself. Not a good thing. By insolence, the heedless take strife. I already forgot what that was. Pride. By pride, the heedless make strife. Okay? Pride leads to arguments. Pride breeds quarrels. Pride comes to nothing but strife. right? Pride and insolence are terrible, terrible things, okay? Everybody, the way I look at it is everybody on earth knows something that you don't know, okay? It doesn't make you smarter than them, but everybody on earth knows something that you don't know. You can never know everything, okay? In this book of Proverbs, I've learned after all this wisdom and all this stuff, at the very end of Proverbs, second to the last book, a man that had studied them all his life says, I have studied these all my life and realized that I know nothing, and I am stupid. Okay? You can't know everything. So, pride leads to strife. Okay? Wealth hastily gotten will dwindle, but he who gathers little by little will increase it. Right? Save a little at a time. And everybody wants to suddenly win millions of dollars, but you know what? Almost every time, 99% of the time, it will dwindle and go away because you don't know how to handle that kind of money. 13, he who despises the word brings destruction on himself, but he who respects the commandment will be rewarded. Right? This is the word of God, the way, fear of the Lord. You despise it, you're bringing destruction on yourself. And people choose destruction. People, God doesn't want people to go to hell. They choose to go there themselves. Okay? By despising the word. We highlighted 18. Poverty and disgrace comes to him who ignores instruction, but he who heeds reproof is honored. Right? If somebody's trying to teach you something, you need to listen. Okay? You need to listen to them because that's how you learn stuff. That's how you become wise. Okay? Poverty and disgrace comes to him who ignores instruction. Right? He who heeds reproof is honored. Right? You listen. Why? He who walks with wise men will become wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. Right? Simply walk with the wise to become wise. If you ignore instruction, poverty and disgrace. 22, I highlighted, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. The inheritance you can give your grandchildren is knowledge, is wisdom. Teach them to love Jesus above all else. In their lives, their inheritance will be there. Right? And 24. He who spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him. Right? If you don't spank your children, if you don't discipline your children, if you don't teach them right from wrong, you hate them. You're sentencing them to death. You're sentencing them to a hard life that they didn't have to go through because you wouldn't teach them when they were young. Okay? That's something. Words for the wise. So there you go. That's Proverbs 13. Well, learning more every time. Stay tuned later. We're still in Jeremiah. We will be for a while yet. Through the Bible in a year. We're on day 226, I believe. But yeah, there you go. Remember, know when to keep your mouth shut. Because most of the time you can just sit there and listen. Okay? And if somebody specifically asks you, don't boast. Don't ever, I know everything about that. No, be humble. Okay? God loves humble people. Like I said, I do have a little experience with that. It's just that simple. So there you go. Remember, be humble. See you next time.